We've never invested in the infrastructure that we need to make
That's
sure
his
that
favorite word.
Ooh, I'm so glad somebody said it before me.
He loves some infrastructure.
some infrastructure.
No,
That's
infrastructure.
right. Infrastructure is important.
My grandma was born a slave.
Really?
She was born in 1913. On the 1911. On the plantation.
Wasn't born no slave. Boy,
1911?
No.
well, slavery ended in 1865.
That's what they told you.
He ain't lying, because I'm from Mississippi.
You feel me? They put me and Jesus to the side in a room with other people to be paneled by some people for them to tell us are we qualified to vote or not. So it was like, because our registration went up the par, but this is the same registration that you used when I voted the last 2 times.
These flock cameras. They recording people information allegedly and
Yeah.
facial recognition, and it's becoming a hot thing in Georgia. Have any of that come across your desk?
Yeah, there's an extensive camera network in this state.
Do an August run.
This is the biggest thing that happened in my family, in my campaign all year long.
Yes.
So.
Oh boy, got 108 minutes. This biggest.
And we did get you some swag.
Perspective.
And we was doing our research. They say y'all got 5 generations of family right here.
At least somebody just sent me a picture of the slave owner. I just got it last week.
A picture of the slave owner.
Just got it last week. And she believes he may have been, the father because he gave my grandmother's grandfather 500 acres of land.
Wow,
Yeah, in Crawfordville.
man.
And what happened to the 500 acres?
That's a good
They
question.
took it again.
That's a good question.
Wow, that's
You might need to do a little
He
research on
owned the
that.
cotton gin.
fly was just on you.
He's like, so he did a lot that was pretty extraordinary. So we're thinking it must have been, something more than slave owner connected.
Little collateral. See, my grandma was born a slave.
Really?
She was born in 1913. 1911. On the plantation.
Wasn't born no slave. Boy,
1911?
No.
well, slavery ended in 1865.
That's what they told you.
He ain't lying, because I'm from Mississippi.
You feel me? Down, this shit real down south, boy.
He ain't lying. I'm from Mississippi.
well.
Slavery ain't officially in Mississippi. till
2013.
2013.
Yes, it did.
Wow.
2013.
I guess the city, but I'm from D.C. They freed the slaves there before anybody.
Nigga, because y'all had the industrial going on.
Nah, because they had to build the city. So
Now, hold on. You said 1911. Now, you a Delta. Ain't that the year?
no, 1913.
1913. I know it was close.
1913.
I know it was close. My mama Delta.
I'm an Alpha, so
Oh, shit.
Salute.
06.
Where's she pledged?
Morris Brown.
Right.
Bubbling brown sugar. Miss Bubbling brown sugar.
Oh.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, have you ever been inside the White House?
Yes.
You have?
In the
Yeah.
basement, there's a glass case of the foundation, if hopefully it's still there. But it's in a little, janitor's closet, and it's a glass case so you can see the foundation that the slaves built.
Oh yeah, a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
The shape of D.C. was supposed to be a full triangle, but when Virginia found out that they freed the slaves, they took their piece back. That's why it's shaped the way that it is.
Yeah, damn.
Yeah.
What's history on top of history?
And Banneker designed D.C.,
Yep.
right?
Yep. Benjamin Banneker.
I didn't know you had been in the White House.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. I'm still messed up about that.
Yeah, twice. I met Bill Clinton when Clinton was president. They did this program. They had Colin Powell had this program called the Red Wagon Program, and they sponsored my school, my middle school, because it was
wow.
it was crazy. We was like East Side High of a middle school, so they brought them in to kind of restructure everything. And I was always one of the people that they would get to talk for the school because I always was good at communication. So we went to the White House and met Clinton twice.
Wow.
I walked over his little green that he had in his office, this putting green. He was like, "So you're just gonna trample my green?" I was like, "My bad."
I'm dead.
Okay, but yeah, I've been in there twice.
That's fine.
Not only have you been there, you vandalized.
Yeah, I've been a little bit.
You've
you know
been
what I
in the Oval Office.
mean? Yeah, I've been in the
That's
Oval
fine.
Office. Yes, all the way.
You have too. You've been up there working and making it happen.
Yes. Yes, I have been.
But the real question, Ms. Bottoms, because, okay, we're trying to bridge the gap here. Okay, we got.
Oh, we filming?
Yeah, we filming.
Oh,
That's the beauty of it. It popped out, baby.
We on.
Pre-game chit
Nah,
chat.
this is natural.
We roll right into
Yeah,
it.
get your response.
Yeah, we got an organic flow over here.
Oh yeah.
I was getting warmed up. Okay, we're in the conversation.
The stove is on. No, because we want to bridge the gap, okay? Because a lot of people, they like to steer away from politics. And they don't understand, first of all, the importance of politics, the foundation of politics, and why we need a representative inside that look like us to speak for us. So why did you take on the chance to say, you know what, I'm gonna be the voice for the people in politics? And why do the people in the streets need to come in to give their voice?
Yeah, so I always grew up thinking it was for somebody else, but you're a great example. You can see it, you can be it, right? To have people making decisions with you in mind, saying this young kid is important enough that he gets to come into the Oval Office of the White House.
Yes, ma'am.
And for me, it was just more of a, and I didn't think that I would ever go into politics. It wasn't something that I grew up dreaming about. I always thought that was for somebody else. It was more organic. I was a judge, ran for a higher seat on the court, lost, started going all around Fulton County, and I'm like, oh wow, this is when you have solid representation, this is what community looks like. So I ran for city council before running for mayor, but now being on this side of it, every single thing about our lives are influenced by political decisions. From, did that pothole get filled on your street?
Nope.
Does the bus come down your street?
The bus come, but they ain't fixed that pothole.
Yeah, I mean, from things big and small. How much are your taxes?
A lot.
What resources are put into your schools? Is the hospital, will it be zoned for your community? I mean, every single decision goes back to a political decision in many ways. So it was, for me, just the honor to have a seat at the table, to be able to represent voices that often don't go heard.
So for the ones who don't go, can you give them insight on where they can possibly start? Like, for example, it's a lot of people that got opinions and voices on what should happen in the community, but they don't know that they can go somewhere and speak their reasoning.
Yeah, there are people who show up every single day in a city hall somewhere, and you can watch them on public comment. There are people, and that's the thing that's sometimes can be a little frustrating. The people who know how to get to you and demand what they need. And the people who often need support the most don't even know where to start. They don't even know that they're empowered to go and talk to somebody who's in elected office. But some people show up in City Hall, people will send you emails, people will write you notes. When I was on City Council, I saved every single card and note that I got, and I had them up in my office because it was important. Because, you know, you can get beat up a lot, but it was important to also remember there were a lot of people who saw the work and appreciated the work, and allowing them to be my visual motivation to do what I was doing.
Yeah. I'm the father of a about to be 18-year-old beautiful, beautiful baby, and she's going to school here in Atlanta. And one of the things that I found interesting about you is that your dad, Major Lance, was a R&B singer. So you grew up with a famous father. Like, what advice would you give to a young black woman getting ready to navigate the city of Atlanta? One, with a famous dad, and two, just having to navigate the city that you grew up in. What kind of advice would you give? Because, you know, as a black woman, one of the things that they always try to restrict you from is having strength and being able to, you know, assert yourself in ways that, and I think that you're a great example of that. So what would what would be an example that you would set or give to the young woman that's getting ready to navigate Atlanta?
Well, and I would just say for you, you are the first man that she's ever loved. And so much of your example will be what she looks for in a mate, what she'll accept, what she won't accept. That means that that as young women, we're looking for perfection, but there are, you know, How does he treat me? How does he treat the women in his life, et cetera? And for her, I would just say, the thing I wish I had told my 18-year-old self was that I was enough, that I was good enough, and that my willingness to try and conform to certain standards, beauty standards, whatever those standards may be, were me diminishing my light. And it didn't serve anybody for me to do that. And I'm so grateful. My daughter, Lincoln, is here with me. She's 15. I'm so grateful to just be an example, not just for my daughter, but for other young women. Like, yeah, you can go for it. You don't have to be apologetic. And again, it's not trying to offer perfection or for anybody to believe that I'm perfect or anything like that. But I do want people to be able to see, flawed and all, you can still be all those things, and you don't have to apologize for it.
Love that.
I got a question. I faced a lot of comments, criticism. I was on this show, we were talking about the homelessness issue.
Yeah.
What were some of the challenges that you faced as the mayor of a city like Atlanta when it comes to dealing with that particular issue?
The homeless challenges in Atlanta are, I think, often larger than a lot of other cities. One, because we're a warm climate, so that obviously attracts a certain population. But also, I met a former mayor who said this: the worst thing that you can do when you are addressing your homeless issue is to talk about it. And I said, that's strange. Why wouldn't you want people to know that what you're doing? He said, because then you're going to attract more people to your city. Now, I don't agree with that. But that being said, Atlanta has had a lot of success in working with a lot of partners addressing homelessness. So whether it be our veterans or whether it be LGBTQ youth, it's much easier to address those easily defined populations. This is a veteran, okay, bet. We got some housing for veterans, and we got some wraparound services where you have the counselors and the social workers come to the door. It gets much more difficult when you are at that population that's suffering from some type of mental illness. They are hardest to reach, often the least resistant to services. You often got to get to them 12 or 15 times before they will even consider accepting support. So it is, it's a huge challenge. That being said, I just saw one man a couple of days ago who had shared with me that we housed her brother during COVID. He was a veteran, and he is still in that permanent housing because he was able to get the support that he needed. But it doesn't mean that any leader should ever give up on addressing it, but it is challenging when you get to that population that's resistant for any number of reasons. And you all probably know this. I had a family member who was brilliant, who at some point experienced schizophrenia and, was practically homeless. So it's hard trying to break through to people who have mental illness. That's a really difficult group.
Hey, we interrupt this program with a special update from Prize Picks. Prize Picks just made it simpler for new users. Just go to the app, that's the Prize Picks app, use promo code 85South, and you can win up to a decent amount of money. I won't even say a number, just a decent amount. You go in there and you pick your picks, or you can just look at somebody's lineup and copy their picks. It's up to you. You can follow your friends. It's really social over there, and I think you're gonna love it. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Now back to the 85 South Show.
She ready to get that belly rub.
You know she a freak because she got her stomach put up and out at the same time.
Hell
That shit
yeah.
got me fucked up.
Hell yeah.
She wants you to role play with that pussy. Army matey, I'll find the coochie.
That's it.
What's your name? Big Fine. That's what they call you? You call you that. You lying.
Let me see you whine. Let me see you grind. Let me see you whine. Let me see you grind. Let me see you whine. Can't breathe. Let them see you wanting me.
You've been a judge, you've been the mayor, you're running for governor. Which one of those positions would you say impacted you the most or taught you the most in regards to what it is that you do?
Probably serving as mayor. In each spot, I learned something new. When I was a judge, so much of it, you mentioned my dad. My dad had been incarcerated when I was 8. So much of what I tried to practice as a judge was seeing people, not just a number, this person coming before you, but whose daddy is that? What's the story? What's the family story? When I was on city council, it was very fulfilling because I could see a problem. Hey, we need to do a neighborhood cleanup here, and we need to work on that. When I became mayor, there were a lot of lessons just in leadership and how you lead, how you make sure that you're bringing other people with you when you lead. I learned a lot from my mistakes. And then going to the White House as senior advisor to the president was affirmation. Like, if I can sit in a senior meeting 5 steps from the Oval Office every morning at the beginning of my day, and I can hold my own when I sit across from the resolute desk, the President of the United States, then I can do anything.
I heard you say affirmation. Now, speaking of affirmation, first of all, being a woman, African-American woman, amongst a male-dominant situation,
Yeah.
we learn from our trials and our tribulations. Was there ever a moment, because with these positions, it come with a lot of power and a lot of pressure. Was there ever a moment where you were like, you know what, man, I'm not cut out for this? What did you have to learn to say, you know what, I must overcome any situation that I face, especially when the people is dependent on me?
I never felt that way, and then part of it goes back to my childhood. When I was 8, I came home one day, my daddy was being led away in handcuffs. Everything about our lives changed. So I always knew I was resilient. For me, it was more, and my dad died suddenly when he was 55.
Sorry to hear that.
So when I turned 51, I started looking at life and mortality very differently. And I know you've experienced sudden loss. When you lose somebody suddenly, it's like that's a marker in time.
Sure.
And it was, if I have 4 more years on this earth, if God only gave me 4 more years, what do I want that 4 years to look like? And so I never felt that I couldn't do it. I think, in fact, if I ever felt I couldn't do something, I was going to push harder to prove that I could. It was, what does this mean for my family? What does this mean for me? And then making decisions from there. And my therapist said to me, and I love how she described it, she said, you were a strong mayor, I want you to be a powerful governor. And I said, well, what's the difference between strong and powerful? She said, strong people push through, and they have strokes and heart attacks and high blood pressure, and they die. She said, powerful people stop, and they feel, and they process, and they learn the lessons, and then, and only then, do they move on. So I would say the difference with me as I sit here today is I am dead focused on always being powerful and not just being strong.
That makes sense.
And I got another question. This is major for anybody who live around here.
Yes.
What we gonna do about this traffic?
Somebody needs to do something
We
about
gotta
this
do something
traffic.
about this traffic.
No, I mean, it really is bad. It can take me from, I was so glad that y'all on the south side, because I was coming from my house on the south side because you know
We on the
it
north side, south side, east side, west side,
it can
in Alabama.
it can take over an hour just to go a few miles in Metro Atlanta, especially. And there are a lot of issues there. We've never fully funded mass transit. We've never invested in the infrastructure that we need to make sure
That's his
that
favorite word.
Whew, I'm so glad somebody said it before me.
He loves some infrastructure.
some infrastructure.
No,
That's
infrastructure.
right. Infrastructure is important. I
Yes,
didn't know
it
that
is.
word before I got on city council. Infrastructure. I didn't know
on
what
now.
it meant. But again, going back to why elected officials matter. Somebody's sitting in the room deciding where that money is going and how money is going to be put toward traffic and how traffic lights are timed and all of that's made by somebody in a planning department in somebody's government.
And the governor does that?
funding. It's funding and planning.
Now, another big issue is these flock cameras. They recording people information allegedly and
Yeah.
facial recognition, and it's becoming a hot thing in Georgia. Have any of that come across your desk?
Yeah, there's an extensive camera network in this state. When it's used for the right purposes, it can help police officers solve a crime. It can
Come
help
on now.
find a
Come
missing
on now.
person.
They be
Yeah.
solving crime.
Yeah, that's it. You can track people. You can also be prosecuted for a crime with those, depending
Don't
on.
make them look in your car, nigga.
They be looking anyway. That's why I'm bringing the cameras up. Whether you want them looking or not, they looking.
That's a double-edged sword because if somebody wants police patrolling their neighborhood, for example, you're not going to be able to have somebody on a lot of senior citizens will ask, well, I need more police patrols in my neighborhood. Well, you're not going to be able to have somebody on every street on every corner, but sometimes cameras can be helpful, but also there are complaints because people are concerned that it's an invasion of privacy and that everybody's constantly under surveillance.
I got a real question.
Properly trained.
I got a question because I feel like this is a small city hall council meeting, and we get a one-on-one with the future governor. Like I keep putting that out there, future governor. Property taxes.
Yeah.
It's a lot of elderly people that have been owning their homes for 20, 30 years, and we speak a lot on this show about generational wealth and how people life insurance. That's the one key goal. If you don't have any type of income, at least you got that to pass on to your children. But how do we sustain ownership when you have tax assessors coming on your property giving a estimate of what they think you should pay on something you've been owning for years? And once it goes up, these people 70, 80 years old.
On fixed income.
Fixed income. They can't pay $7,000 on a property that was once $2,500 at the end of the year, and then they pile up if they don't pay. How do we? I don't want to say take away property tax because the property taxes fund the schools, the firefighters, the policing. It funds that. How do we get into a fixed income with property tax?
I think there are several things that you can do. One thing, when I was on city council in Atlanta, I introduced something called displacement-free zone legislation. So on the west side of Atlanta, we created a fund that would help senior citizens pay their property taxes. When I was mayor, we created an affordable housing trust fund that helped pay property taxes, help people with affordable housing, down payment assistance, gave us a lot of flexibility. I would love to see us do that statewide because that's a huge problem. The other big problem we have in this state is with heir property. Your grandparents pass, they leave the house to your uncle, and then his son moves in, and then nobody's ever cleared the title.
Never.
So it's often difficult for them to access resources to be able to make repairs or help pay the property taxes or whatever it can be. So that's one thing we need to really do a deep dive on, cleaning up air property, helping people get clear title to their property.
Yeah. One of the things that I always say, growing up in Washington, D.C., I'm from the city of politics, and one of the reasons why I've never really been too keen on politics is because I say that, you know, people send representation to my city to get things changed in their cities, but we watch these people ride through the conditions that you want changed where you're from and can care less. So one of the things that I always say is you have to have somebody who's willing to fight for what you have going on. And in Atlanta, you know, that's the big city, but Georgia, you're running for governor. So what would you tell people that, you know, don't have anybody that they feel like are fighting for them? Why should they want Keisha Lance Bottoms to be the person fighting for them in Washington, D.C.?
Somebody asked me this question. I walked into a barbershop in Valdosta. Like, what difference does it make to me? How's my life going to change? Because when you go into a lot of communities outside of the metro area, it feels like you've gone into a time machine. That nobody's been there, nobody's caring about them, they're not feeling the difference. And what I said to them was, let me tell you things that I care about. I care that hospitals are closing across the state. I care that small businesses aren't getting the support they need. I care that public education has not been fully funded since 1985 when I was in the marching band at Frederick Douglass.
Talk your talk.
You know,
he was in the band. He got that.
You were in the band.
Play snare drum.
All right. I could see that for sure. I played clarinet.
Play clarinet. That's why he's so soft and soft.
You know, and going through those things that I want to work on and I want to address. And as we start talking more about these things, I said I care about people who've been incarcerated and having a meaningful opportunity to have a second chance when they come out of prison. Like, I've got a program for that. So when I started talking about things that were of interest to him, then he's like, okay. And at the end, we took a picture together. So, like, even what struck me today when I got ready to come here, my 24-year-old son, Lance, who never wants to do anything with me. When I said I'm coming here, he's like, I want to go. Because you all talk about things that are of interest to him. And whether it's in Atlanta, whether it's in Valdosta, wherever it is across the state, people have to know why it makes a difference to them. What difference is it going to make in my community? And, you know, I don't want to be the person who just shows up for a vote and then not be able to say I did anything to help the community. So it matters to me.
Now, you know, we in the entertainment business, and, you know, for a while, it was a lot of entertainment, a lot of movies being shot in Georgia.
Yeah.
Like, when you the governor, are we going to keep that going? Are we going to bring some of those incentives back to get the entertainment back to where it was in Georgia? Or?
It's a big industry in this state. A lot of young people going to college to be trained for jobs in the film industry. We're not only just competing with other states now we are competing overseas, and you're competing with AI. So I believe we need to do whatever we can do to make sure that the film industry still has a strong presence here, because it's good for our economy, it's good for the people of this state to have an opportunity to train and get these well-paying jobs.
And LeBron on the move too. That nigga's in Philly. They saying he gonna fly in from New York. They say it's a 45-minute helicopter ride.
I got to have some neighborhood he can be comfortable.
Bruh, all that bike riding in Philly cheesesteak, that nigga didn't come for that. That nigga is coming for championship on.
We don't need no ATV, them four-wheelers.
Man, he don't want to hear all that. He don't want to hear all that at night. That man is 40 years old. He needs some rest.
Come on, Philly.
Hold up, wait a minute. Yeah, hey, cut it off. He can't wait to get in that locker room and tell them young niggas cut the music down. Looking at this lineup, Tyrese Maxey, Edgecombe. Jaylen Brown for sure is an all-star. LeBron James at 41 years and goddamn 12 months. Embiid.
Is that better than the Knicks right now?
For sure.
He gonna make them all step up and play like they best game.
This the best team he done been on with niggas in their prime.
When
was
people
still
stay
hooping,
hurt,
bro.
like Embiid, I have a problem giving them a nod, man. Because the motherfucker can't stay healthy. Yes, I know what he can do, but has the motherfucker done it on a consistent basis? That's where the question mark lies.
Use that nigga laying on that table like
Yeah.
a bad bitch every year. Every year, that nigga go get some work done. I don't know
Get the
if
pillows.
it's for basketball or something,
Gotta lay up in that hotel for a couple
but
days.
that nigga have a fire on every August
Yeah,
to October.
yeah.
This year, no fire. He ready to play.
You pissing me off.
Say he just play 50, 60 games. Long as you ready for the motherfucking playoffs.
Now, my old people wanted me to ask you, because I be hanging out with a lot of old people. You know they want some casinos.
Oh, yes, I do too. I want it on the ballot.
Talk your talk.
We did our research now. We
Yo,
went to the
dog.
people
I
and we
want
had
it.
to
Live
ask.
poker. Please put some live poker in that thing.
I want it on the ballot. My son Lance and I were talking about this. He was talking about some other things that he wants to see on the ballot. But it's estimated $300 million can come in a year through casino gambling in this state. And people say, oh, you know, gambling problems, et cetera. I'm like, well, when my mama wants to gamble, she drives to Alabama. She's still going to gamble. I'm not, it's because we don't have it here. It's not stopping her. She's going to get in her car and go to Cherokee, North Carolina, or Alabama, or wherever she goes. I would like for us to keep that money here.
Facts.
Dealers in casinos are union jobs. Those dealers often make six figures. I mean, it's a whole economy that goes along with casinos. So, yeah, and I think it can help us fill in some of these gaps, whether it be supportive transportation and infrastructure, education, healthcare.
Another thing about politics is, you know, black men are low in numbers when it comes to, you know, voting and, you know, just going out to the polls. And I think that's because a lot of the things that we care about aren't addressed. Like in Georgia, these are some of the, you know, most disparaging laws towards fathers, like, you know, going to court and getting, you know, your rights to your child and all of that type of stuff. So, like, what would you say to those guys who feel like, you know, man, I ain't no point in me going out, you know, I can't even go to court and get, you know, legitimized to my child. That's just, you know, the child support laws and all of the things are making it so difficult for black men to do what it is that we're judged on doing, but people don't know the backstory. Like, what would you say to those men in regards to your care about helping them become more involved in the city life and the government and everything?
You know, again, when we show up, then we are seen. And there's a lot. First of all, I think black men are unfairly pegged sometimes as not participating. The numbers may be a little lower than some other groups, but it's, you know, black men aren't just sitting out elections. I also don't think it's fair to act like it's the responsibility of black men to carry elections, like it's all of our responsibility. But that being said, again, it all matters. Judges are elected. Those child support laws were passed by somebody sitting in the state capitol. Those people were on the ballot and they were elected. So it may not be perfection in terms of your list of 10 most important things that you're getting. But if your voice is heard on 5 of those things, then it can make a difference. And you can move the needle, and then you can elect people who are more favorable to whatever your concerns are. Do you know why black maternal mortality is a big conversation topic? Because people recognize that black women show up in big numbers to vote. So it's a big topic. And I would just say for black men, having that, whatever that thing is, that, and I'm not saying black men are monolith, but like what is that thing that black men want elected officials to focus on. Like being able to articulate that and saying, if you focus on these things, then, you know, we'll come out in bigger numbers.
Now, I did want to ask you this. We were talking about incarceration briefly. You said your father was incarcerated. Like, what would you say to some of the young black men who made the mistake and are trying to get back into society and, you know, do things right this time? Are there going to be resources and things for them as well?
I tell you, like, my mom said her neighbor used to tell her, it's the called and the uncalled. Like, everybody's done something. And I would say for black men who have been incarcerated, you know, life is often about second chances.
Yeah. But sometimes they come home and they don't have the resources or and the things that they need to try to get back reactivated.
When they labeled a felon, so what?
So one thing that I want to do, most of our prisons in Georgia are in communities with technical and community colleges. I want to make sure that we have training in our prisons for people who will be completing their sentences so that they can come out with a skill or if they a trade or even if they want to complete their college degree. I think that should be fully available to people and we can do it by partnering with our technical and community colleges in our university system. Also, and we did it in the city of Atlanta. We had a job training program. People who were incarcerated in the city jail were going out every day working for the War Department. They came out with full-time jobs when they completed their sentences. They were able to put money away for child support, et cetera. Something like that is possible in the state. But then we even got to go more basic than that. A lot of people, my experience when I was judge, a lot of people who showed up in court hadn't finished 8th grade, hadn't finished 9th grade. So you know there's a literacy issue there at play. Sometimes it's undiagnosed ADHD or dyslexia or whatever the thing is. When you have somebody who's incarcerated, you have their attention. You can address those issues too, helping them learn to read and write so that they can be prepared to go to the next level. And now I'll tell you another issue I heard recently, and I think, you know, I go back to my daddy, because when I used to go visit him around the state, it was a room full of people who looked just like him and children who looked just like me. And the choices he made, because his music had stopped selling, and he didn't feel like he had any other choices but to sell drugs to make ends meet. But when I think about my daddy was just a wonderful person. He was a good, you couldn't find a better person. And he made a horrible mistake. So I think when we look at people not as their worst mistake, but who are they behind this? And I'm not talking about violent offenders who've gone out and raped people and murdered people. Those aren't the people I'm talking about. Right. And the vast majority of those incarcerated are not those people. I'm talking about these people who you know at some point will complete their sentence and need to go back out into society. I had a man bring to my attention, he said, but the problem I have is there are gaps in my resume that I can't explain because I was locked up for 7 years. There are programs that we can design that you are setting aside work for people who have completed their sentences, that we can work with our private partners to set aside jobs. But it's got to be intentional work.
Speaking on the primary care, because I'm on the borderline when it comes to, I have friends that are elevated and understand and are knowledgeable to the fact of what politics is, and then I got to go to the projects and try to translate everything I just heard into terms of, and I don't want people to look at people in the hood like they don't want change. Like you said, it's people that don't know how to talk to them in response of what they're asking for. Can you explain why primary is important and what do people need to have in order to register to vote? Because I was a victim of, I voted every time for Barack. And when it was Keisha time, to run. I wanted to make sure I voted for the first African-American woman president. But when I went down there, me and Jesus, so that's how I know it wasn't just me. Mm-hmm. They put me and Jesus to the side in a room with other people to be paneled by some people for them to tell us, are we qualified to vote or not? So it was like, because our registration went up to par. But this is the same registration that you used when I voted the last 2 times. So why are we trying to figure out what was the issue and what do people actually need to register to vote?
So there are a few things at play. There are, they've been purging, removing people from the voting rolls.
Right.
Saying you didn't vote in the last 2 elections, 3, whatever the number is, and they're taking you off the voting rolls, saying you got to vote again. Mm-hmm. I mean, you got to register again. So you got to check your voter registration. You can go to the Secretary of State's office, make sure your registration is still active. Mm-hmm. If it's not, you can register to vote before October 3rd of this year. So everybody can go online today if you're in Georgia Secretary of State, check the voter registration, put in your name, date of birth. You can see if you are still active. I did it recently to check everybody in my house who's eligible. And then if not, you can register online to vote because they will take you off the voting rolls. Now, ideally, when you show up, they should just reactivate you.
Yes.
Because as long as you're still alive, you can still show up and vote. But you got to check it and then reactivate it.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. You have heard us talk about BetterHelp for a while now, but one thing that really stands out is how many people keep coming back to say it made a difference for them. It's one thing to hear us mention it on the show. It's another thing to hear directly from the people who actually use the service. If you're curious, don't just take our word for it. Go to betterhelp.com/reviews and check out what people been saying. New reviews are added every day, and it's encouraging to see many people talk about finding the right therapist, feeling supported, and making progress in their lives. BetterHelp has an average live therapy session rating of 4.9 out of 5, based on more than 1.7 million client session reviews, and more than 6 million people worldwide have used the platform. Getting started is simple. You answer a few questions, BetterHelp matches you with a licensed therapist based on your needs, and if the first match isn't right, you can switch your therapist at any time. See the reviews and see what stands out at betterhelp.com. See what's right for you. Visit betterhelp.com/85South. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/85South.
What's up, y'all? It's your girl XP.
And it's your girl, Dre Nicole.
And London, we are on the way, August 22nd. We'll see y'all soon.
Yes, y'all. We outside at the O2 Shepherd's Bush Empire. Make sure y'all pull up and come see your girls.
Mm-hmm. Poorminds.com. Get your tickets now.
Cheerio.
Mm-hmm.
You know, politics can get real ugly, and then the other side, especially now in today's time, they known to get real dirty with the things that they put out and all of the different ways that they try to, make the other party look lesser than. So how are you going to combat that? Like, Michelle Obama say, when they go low, we go high. But sometimes you got to go to hell when they go low. So
and
how
then
do you?
Cardi B say we need to scrub the ground.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like, how are you navigating that? Because you've been elected, you've been a part of the process, you've been in the White House, so you understand politics. But now that it's you, how are you going to combat? And because the other side, the Democratic side, they want to see somebody who's not afraid to go back at them. So how do you feel about that process?
I went to Douglas High School. Like, I'm not ever afraid to fight back against somebody. But every fight is not worth fighting.
Yes, ma'am.
Part of it is the discipline of what battles do I want to engage in. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm running against, just put in $87 million yesterday.
Oh, Rick.
So... Slick Rick.
Slick Rick.
You're going to see all the ads, and it's going to be on YouTube, and it's going to be everywhere. He'll probably be running it in the middle of this podcast. You're going to see it everywhere.
Not in this.
No, they don't see it. Not this one. Not this one.
No, we're not this one.
Don't play all that.
We ain't
Don't play
taking
that shit.
You can't bribe us. Nah.
Hello.
Don't tell you.
But if he do try to come, we'll at least get the money.
Well,
We'll charge him.
So
We'll charge
It did put it towards your campaign.
He got the money now. He got the money.
he does.
But we'll mess the
And I'm
audio
not
up.
mad at him about, I mean, what I'm mad about is he got $1 billion no-bid contract for his healthcare company, and he doesn't even want people to have healthcare coverage through expanding Medicaid in the state. That is what I'm mad about.
Oh, talk your talk,
But-
man, Bob.
So I've told my family, turn off the TV, get out the comments. Like, you know, and for us, for everybody, just don't be distracted. And people they're not going to agree with everything that I said sitting here today. Somebody's not going to like what I said about police. My truth is my truth. Somebody's not going to like what I said about voting. I mean, somebody's going to disagree with they can find something to disagree with, but we got to stop looking for perfection.
Yeah.
If we can agree on 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10 things that
I'll
are
take a
important,
6.
a 6 out of 10, let's go with that. But this is a guy who says, I'm going to be Trump with a Southern tone. I'm going to be Trump's favorite governor. And you just got to ask yourself, does that align with what I want in my life right now and for my family and my community? And who is it who do you believe will better understand your challenges and at least try and do right by you? So, and let me just say this. Well, no, I'm not going to say it. I'm going to get in trouble.
Yeah, don't say that.
I won't say it. Okay,
We got your back. Don't say it.
okay.
Now, without
My
giving him...
team's going to be very proud of me.
Yeah.
But see, that's the thing. Like, you know, the things that you don't say and reserving yourself in those times, like knowing when to say, you know what, no, I am going to say it. And I am going to let the people know, because there's so many voters who want to know that, you know, if somebody says something about you, they want to see that response. And just hearing your story about your dad being incarcerated, that's connected to so many people who probably didn't know that about your history and know that you have those same type of experiences that they have. So sometimes they want to see you like, man, let that shit go. Excuse my language, but you know what I mean?
And I found this when I ran for mayor. People will insert a narrative. Like, people think you just woke up just like this. Life has always been good. And I wrote a book recently, and I talk about, like, my mom owned a hair salon over across from the mall, West End. And my daddy was always, you'll never let I see you sweat. You better walk out that door looking your best. So you always walk out trying to look your best and present as your best, but people don't know all the other stuff that you leave behind. Like, they don't know the days when we would fill up those buckets of water at my mama's salon because the water was cut off at home. You had to take the water home so you could brush your teeth, you could wash up, you could flush the toilet. They don't know about those days when she'd be standing in that shop working and go to walk out and the car was gone because the car had been repossessed. So and this is not, it's like, oh, woe is me. Like, I'm really grateful for all that God has done for me and all that he's allowed me to overcome and generational curses that have been broken. But what I do know is, but for the grace of God, Garth, my daddy had an addiction problem. It's nothing but God's grace that I'm not addicted to drugs because I know how that works. I've seen family members experience mental health breakdowns and episodes and completely disconnect from reality. So I know it's nothing but the grace of God that that's not me. But what I do know is that to whom much is given, much is required. So I'm going to go out every day thinking about people like my family and what I wish they had had and what I wish somebody had thought to do for them. And that's the heart that I bring to running for office.
And that's important.
Now, you know what you're up against. You already said your opponent, he got the bag. Without giving them too much of the sauce, what's your strategy approaching
I'm just finna ask
as
that.
the mayor?
It's a campaign rundown.
As the governor.
Y'all are my megaphones. Everybody has the ability to influence somebody. It may be you calling or posting saying, did you register to vote? Did you check your voter registration? I may not have the $87 million, and I'm not even surrendering that. I don't know what God is going to send me to have. But I'm saying right now, he may have the money, but the people still have the power. Still have the power to show up. Still have the power to sit in the barbershop and talk to the person cutting their hair and ask them, are they voting? And telling them why they should vote. Is, you used to call it the hotline, whatever the thing. We still have our own respective platforms. For you all, it's millions of people. For some people, it may be the 20 people on their contact list on their phone. But in May, we were outspent by $100 million. I raised under $3 million. This man wrote himself a check for $110 million and put it in his campaign. And Democrats still outvoted Republicans by 150,000 votes.
Ain't the money.
Yeah,
Right.
and that's another thing, race is such a big issue now, especially with all the things going on in the world, all of the, you go on social media, you go on these different platforms and you see that it's just split down the middle with all of these different perspectives and it's based in skin color. So as a black woman, how do you feel the best approach is to get the people who don't look like you to know that you're for them just like you're for us?
Yeah, because again, my truth is my truth. I'm not gonna sit in a room full of white people in Emerson or wherever I am and say anything different than I'm saying here. There may be 5 other things they disagree with, but my truth is gonna be my truth. And as I'm moving around this state, what I'm saying, everybody really wants the same things. We want great communities. We want a good health care. We want good jobs.
Education.
We want great education. We don't want our taxes to be too high. I mean, we all want the same. We want to be able to support our businesses. We all want the same things. Just how do we get there is the question.
What's one issue in Georgia that you feel like that's not talked about as much, that's vitally important?
Something that comes up on every stop that I make, especially with young people, is access to mental health care. Young people especially are talking about anxiety and depression and how do they get help, not just for themselves, but for their family members. And then caregivers are saying, I'm burnt out. I don't have support. I need access for my mental health and to be able to help care for my loved one. That's something we don't talk about enough, but it comes up in rooms that I'm in enough that I know that it's a big issue.
And our teachers still being severely underpaid, too.
Average starting teacher pay in Georgia is $43,000 a year.
That's horrible.
That's the average starting teacher's pay. So you got teachers working 2 and 3 jobs just to be able to go teach our kids. So that needs to be raised. I do want to eliminate income taxes for our teachers. I think that can go a long way in helping support them.
Yeah, for sure.
They're watching our children alone.
I couldn't do it.
That's a long time.
I wouldn't
all
do
of
it.
our
Not
children
for
in
that.
one room.
Yeah, you got to have a
I
level
can do
of
a lot of, I said I know I can do anything. I cannot
can't-
do that.
can't do
I'm
that.
certain of that. That's
We were just
gift.
having a conversation earlier when I was like, you know what, teachers should, because that's been a big thing for a long time. Teachers been underpaid. But if you really sit back and look, the teachers is the main focus point when we drop our children off.
Yeah.
They are with our children the most.
That's right. Often more than
than you
anybody.
sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, without question. And me, I'm not a resident of Georgia, but I'm probably going to be very soon because my daughter's going to school here. And one of the things.
Okay, we need you to come on in so you can register to vote.
Yeah. But
Don't be like
one
me.
of the things that I've noticed is, we've been blessed, all of us. So, we have a little bit more access to information and to do things, but a lot of people are being priced out, especially in the
Yeah.
city of Atlanta.
Yeah.
They're being priced out. You know, people who've lived here for years, they can't afford to stay in these places that they were raised. And coming from D.C., gentrification has been something that has broke my heart over and over again. So how do you, not just in Atlanta specific, but just in the state of Georgia, how do you feel like you can combat people being priced out of the city that is, you know, abundant? There's so many opportunities here, but so many people who are from here don't get the benefit from them because they can't afford to live here.
Yeah, I mean, it's the rose and the thorn. You got these neighborhoods redeveloping, amenities are coming in, all these things that people often need in communities, but then it's at the expense of the people who built the communities.
Right.
So it is, you got to be intentional about whether if somebody is coming in and they are getting money to help build or whatever, making sure that you're carving out affordable and workforce housing, saying you got to set aside this number of units for people who can, so they can continue to live in this community. Grants, low interest loans, helping people with down payment assistance, helping people, like I said, with those property taxes, taxing people out of communities. A lot of people lose their houses, again, because they can't pay the taxes. My grandparents paid off their house, 30 years ago. My mother now has that house, but every year when she gets a tax bill, she's complaining about how much money those taxes are and wondering if she's going to have enough to pay the taxes for that year, because their house is on the west side of Atlanta and it now sits almost directly on the Atlanta belt line. So the belt line is cut through a lot of communities in Atlanta, and it shouldn't be at the expense of the people who built these communities and stuck with these communities when these communities often didn't stick with them.
Now, I did notice when you were the mayor, you did get a lot of pushback on some of the things that you wanted to do from the governor, right, in the state of Georgia. What's your plan to not be like that?
I want what's best for the people. So there were things that the governor and I, some things we got along with, a lot of things we didn't get along with. But going back to, am I ever afraid to fight back? No, I was never afraid to fight back against him. And God willing, when I'm elected governor, you get input and you try and work with people as best you can, but there comes a time where sometimes you're just going to have to agree to disagree, and everybody's going to have to do what they need to do.
Another thing that's very important, I'm an HBCU graduate, and, in comparison to, the PWIs and all over the country, HBCUs are tremendously underfunded. You know what I mean? It's difficult to get the financial aid and the scholarships and everything that you need to go to school. So in the state of Georgia, like, what would you say to people who are looking to, go to HBCUs and support HBCUs, and being in the position of the governor, how would you help them to elevate and be kind of, not necessarily on the same playing field as like a Georgia or, the bigger schools, but to be evenly keeled in regards to what can come out of a HBCU, because we produce greatness, but it's so difficult because we come out in a tremendous level of debt. We're competing at the same level, but, we're starting down here. So how would you just, close that gap up as the governor?
I was just having this conversation with my husband this morning. I said one of the best Netflix documentary reels I saw was somebody in a folding chair on the sidewalk, and it's like me doing a documentary on trying to get my financial aid at my HBCU.
Right.
Because that's so real.
I mean, that
And
line.
See what's going on in Howard.
Yes.
my little cousin
My
was
nephew
a victim
go to
of that. They unenrolled her at Howard, you know what I'm saying, because of the money issue.
And that's how we started talking about it. He's like, how'd that happen?
Oh, I know how.
And I was telling him, I said, when I was at FAMU, I said, you could always tell when fees were due, because you have a class that you couldn't get a seat in, and when those fees were due, class would be emptied out.
Everybody, gone.
So it is, but all that being said, like, there's so much support that our HBCUs need from the infrastructure support, the facilities, the buildings, to helping our kids with scholarship opportunities. And so I talked about when you put casino gambling on the table, our HBCUs, they can access a little bit of the Hope Scholarship in Georgia. That's if you have a certain GPA and some other requirements, you can get a scholarship, but it's not fully funded. I think there needs to be intentional funding for our HBCUs. Part of it is that infrastructure issue because the facilities are often not updated. There's still a dorm on Spelman's campus. I think they're replacing now that doesn't have air.
Yeah.
Like my freshman dorm didn't have air. They just got it like 2-3 years ago. So, and that's the thing about going to a HBCU. It's the same everywhere. It doesn't matter which one you go to. You can ask, what's the nasty freshman boy dorm? What's the nasty freshman girls dorm? All of those things are the same everywhere. But, you know, somewhere like Georgia, which has, you know, 2 of the most prestigious in Morehouse and Spelman, like for them to still be going through the same things with the alumni that they have, it's like it's a bigger issue.
But you know, we often don't know what we don't know. Like we often think we send our tuition, that's enough and it's a lot. And often families don't have enough to do more. We're not educated in how you create endowments and what that means for schools. Morehouse or Spelman especially does better than most, but trying to condition alumni to even give back, because for a lot of people that had such a traumatic experience, they don't want to give back. And I was having this conversation with my 18-year-old. He was frustrated with some stuff about registration. And I said, baby, whatever HBCU you go to, it's going to be the exact same thing. Their consistency. So part of that is administrative support. I'll never forget when I got to Georgia State, because I graduated from FAMU, and I got to Georgia State for law school. When I was at FAMU, my financial aid check for the fall always came in December. It was my Christmas money. And when I got to Georgia State and somebody said my check was ready, and I went across the street, went to the office, and I saw this window, and I'm like, no, this is not the office. I turn around, I walk out. I'm like, I thought you said it was across the street. They were like, yeah. I'm like, there's no line over there. I don't understand. Like it was an empty office. And I went, and I gave the guy my license, and he pulled out my check. And I remember standing there, and this was like the end of August. I was like, this is my check for the fall? Like it's ready? Is it here? I was blown away. So I don't profess to understand why we still can't figure out that piece at our HBCUs, but I do believe if in a state like Georgia, if we're able to get it right at Georgia State, in Georgia and all these other places, there's some best practices that we can help support our HBCUs with.
Now, you're really from Atlanta. I want to ask you this. Do you have a favorite era of Atlanta?
Oh, it would have to be the 80s. I mean, I was in high school in the 80s. I was in middle school in the 80s, in high school in the 80s. So Greenbrier Skating Rink, Greenbrier Mall. You know, like all the
Greenbrier
things.
had a skating rink? You just put me on something. Greenbrier had a skating rink?
No, the skating rink, it was called Greenbrier Skating Rink.
That's what I'm saying. Where?
Over off Fairburn Road. It's the AKA house now.
What?
That was the skating rink.
I ain't know
That was the skating rink over on Hogan Road, yeah.
Put me up on game, did Greenbrier skating rink?
Greenbrier Skating Rink.
Now, you grew up, were you with the Atlanta child murder time?
I did.
You remember that?
Very well. I remember that very well. That was between 79 and 81, I think. That was a scary, scary time. Because literally children were disappearing. I remember being at church one Sunday. I went to church at First Corinth Missionary Baptist on Bankhead. Kmart used to be across the street. It's where Killer Mike and T.I. built some housing there now. And a boy, his name was Curtis Walker, disappeared coming from that Kmart. I think he lived in Bowen Homes. He was helping people like load their groceries. He had disappeared from there.
They found him on Camden Road.
First or second child disappeared leaving the skating rink, walking home from the skating rink. So so much was happening in our community. And I remember being at church one Sunday and standing in a parking lot and people talking about the little girl who had been, I think it was Angel Lanier, who had been taken out of her window. So you remember a lot of the names. Yusuf Bell, I remember his name very well. He went to school with my cousin. My cousin later told me they questioned him because he was one of the last people to see him alive. So it was this era in Atlanta that a lot of people didn't even know about. When I was mayor, I reopened the cases.
Yeah.
And we did a memorial that now sits on the grounds of City Hall and honor them. And we had their portraits hanging up in the airport because, these were kids like me. I was of the age that these kids were when they were disappearing. So we had some of the DNA testing done just to try and just close out any questions. And then Wayne Williams lived on Penelope right there in Dixie Hills. My great aunt lived on Penelope. It was happening in our community.
Do you remember what the community response was to that time?
Everybody was on edge. And I just saw a clip recently of the Jacksons at the airport. I remember when they came to do the concert for the reward money. So every day on the news, it was another child is missing, another child's body's been found. There was one child who was never found, Darren Glass. And when I was mayor, I was working with the police department and some others to go back and see if they could locate his remains. They believed he was somewhere off of Red Wine Road near Camp Creek Marketplace. And it was so impactful to me. That's why I remember these details. So it was a horrible, horrible time in our city.
Yeah.
Did they ever catch the person?
Wayne Williams is incarcerated. Based on what I know, it looks like the evidence was directly connected to him.
The governor is, it's a big position, but like you said, you're from Atlanta, born and raised in Atlanta, and this is, the black metropolis, just as a city overall. How is Atlanta, being the mayor of Atlanta, being a councilwoman, a judge, how has that prepared you for running the state of Georgia?
Yeah. So, and I'll just go back to Wayne, to this part. Some believe he was not responsible for all of the killings, that there's still somebody out there who was not held accountable. For me, it's been a lifelong preparation, even when I didn't know I was preparing to run for governor. So all the things I've talked about, these life experiences, the ability to lead, to make decisions when you don't even have a blueprint for how to make decisions. That was the case with me when I was mayor. Biggest cyber attack in the history of a municipality in the country. We went COVID, social justice movement with George Floyd, and Trump was the president then. And we still finished with 4 years of a balanced budget, $180 million in the bank, those 7,000 units of affordable housing, that's Affordable Housing Trust Fund, and these things we were able to accomplish. And, again, going back to spending that time in the White House, seeing how things get done at the highest level was preparation. I didn't even know it was preparing me for this because I wasn't planning on running for governor. But the day after the presidential election, I cursed and then I prayed. What am I called to do in this moment? And for me, it was getting out of the comfort zone and say, I got to get back in the ring and fight for us. That's all I know how to do.
Now, I want to ask you this. It's still a fairly new thing, but it is being talked about nationwide when it comes to the AI data center.
Yeah.
Has that come across your desk at all?
Yeah, people have asked me what my position is on that. I think we need to pause on them. because people don't know the difference with facts and fiction because we don't have all the information. You know, people talk about how high their power bills are. I'm like, I can't blame that on data centers.
And the water, too.
And water. Like, my bills were already high. So, but I believe people when they say they're driving up their power bills. I believe people when they say their water's dirty. I just think we need to figure out what's real, what's not, and then figure out how we go from there. So I think we need to pause them.
I come from an era of recreational children, the youth programs, and I'm hands on with a lot of the kids in the city, and I see how some can, you know, deter and go this way and go this way because they don't have nowhere to hang at.
Yeah.
They don't have no programs, and I see a lot of the recreationals, especially in Atlanta, they're shutting down. So are there any things into regards of like what type of programs we're gonna have for the children in the summertime, like Camp Best Friends? We knew about all these things. Like when my sister was in them, I couldn't wait to be 13 so I can get in the teen program and do all these things. So it's like, are there any programs in development for the children? Because it's a lot of recreation that's being shut down.
Yeah, you know, again, funding, these decisions that come out of government. There's somebody in government making a decision how much money is going toward funding recreation in this state. The budget of the state starts in the governor's office. So the governor says, this is what I want as my priorities, and then it goes from there through the legislative process. One of the things I was really proud of when I was mayor, we created a training program for the water boys. And we said, if you come into this program, we'll give you a gift card every month if you sit through this entrepreneurship training. The November before my term ended, a grandmother came up to me. Her son had finished the program. She said, you don't know how much this meant to us. Last year, we had hot dogs for Thanksgiving. This year, we had a turkey because my grandson bought it with his gift card from this program. They would get a gift card every month. Like, so when you hear stories like that, you know that it's changing lives. But I made the decision with our budget in the city to help fund that program. We had just closed the Centennial Yards transaction right outside of Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Out of this huge real estate transaction, biggest in the southeastern United States, we created some affordable housing. We did an affordable housing trust fund, a child savings account for all the kindergartners in Atlanta public schools. So y'all wonder where Trump got that idea from. He got it from me in Atlanta. We created this training program for the water boys, and the list goes on. And it is, we've got cuts that are coming that are making it more difficult for cities to be able to provide programs. And I believe that's when the state needs to help step in and fill in those gaps. Because for a lot of our kids, especially, if they aren't in programs in the summer, they don't eat.
Right. They don't do nothing. They're just sitting around.
Yeah. A lot of kids rely on free lunch and breakfast. Those are the only meals they get during the day.
Right.
And then they often get them in these programs, too.
Why do you think it's so controversial when the word black comes into politics? Like, anything that may benefit or help black people, they always seem to try to shut it down or try to make it seem like it's one-sided.
Because you have Donald Trump saying it's a problem. And you have, yes, people around him who are saying it's a problem. He's got people afraid. And which goes back to this guy I'm running against. He said, there's not a single policy I disagree with Donald Trump on. So when Donald Trump says, get rid of all DEI programs, DEI is bad, this guy said, I agree with everything that he said.
You know, as the mayor, you know, and just as a public official, one of the most important things is the team that you select, like the people that you surround yourself with. So how have you been able to, you know, or what is the process that you go through in selecting the right people? What do you look for in people? Because I think that can help a lot of people in regards to what they surround themselves with, because a lot of people fail because they surround themselves with the wrong kind of people and look at the wrong characteristics in people. So you've been doing it long enough. What are some of the important things that you feel are necessary in selecting people to be in your circle or on your team?
Yeah, I've read this book, first line, good is the enemy of great. So you want to surround yourself with people who aren't just good, they are great. You don't want to be the smartest person in the room. Some people are intimidated by people who know more than them. Iron sharpens iron. You want people who are as smart, if not smarter than you, because you need experts of all kinds. And then the other thing, sometimes you don't have anything but your intuition to go on, that sixth sense. That thing that says, he looks good on paper, but something just ain't right about that. Remember there was somebody on my team, and my husband was like, you need to watch that person. And I'm like, but, da-da-da-da-da. He's like, something ain't right. And he was right. So sometimes you just feel things that you can't always process.
Look, we ain't gonna keep you here all day, but we got 1,000 questions. You might have to swing back.
So you gotta do a double back. November right around the corner, but do an August run.
This is the biggest thing that happened in my family, in my campaign all year long.
Yes.
So,
oh boy, got 180 minutes. This biggest Miss.
And we did get you some swag.
Okay, but you know what's
stylish.
funny? My son Lance, I walked out the door. He was like, "Hey, whatever swag they give you, give it to me."
Straight up. Man.
Gotta get him another bag.
Give him another bag.
Put the bag together,
We gotta
man.
get him another bag.
you.
We gotta give him a booster treatment. Give him another bag.
Oh, well, he will be happy. And Lincoln, no, you cannot have
Lincoln,
it
get
either.
her back. Get Lincoln the bag, man.
No,
We open
but
this thing, guys.
just know we love you and we support you. If you ever need us,
For sure. Being from
right
the
here.
city,
You represent the city
appreciate
very
you all.
well. You're a very stylish lady.
we behind you
I love that.
100%.
Yeah, this has
favorite.
Good
been
luck
great.
on your campaign.
Well, y'all are very astute. Y'all are up on all the things that are important. I appreciate you all.
Thank you.
I appreciate the conversation. I appreciate the thoughtfulness. I just appreciate you all being a voice, speaking to people and being able to translate things that often go unheard. That's super important. So I'm grateful for you all.
We got a hell of a track record too. Everybody come on this show win.
Yeah.
All right then.
And
Winning.
kudos to you. Like I said, I'm the
Self-face
father of a,
Abrams.
as a father of a black woman, a young black woman, I know how important it is to have examples that, are set that they can follow and see greatness and see strong, not willing to deter regardless of what people say, and for you to be in the position that you've been in for so long through your background and through everything that you've been through and still be willing to stand tall in the face of all the adversity that comes with this position. Salute to you, black woman.
Hey, this is the 85 South Show, and this has been a conversation with Miss Keisha Lance.
Everybody go vote. Everybody go vote.
Go
Thank
vote.
you.
Go
Thank
vote. Let's get a photo.
Great.
What's up, y'all? It's your girl XP.
And it's your girl Dre Nicole.
Clayton English.
Snap Green.
Boy, Louis Belt.
Justin Whitehead. Moneybag Mafia.
Listen, if you're trying to book us for your event, hosting, comedy show, whatever you got going on,
Let's keep it real professional.
No sliding in my DMs.
Well, no, I'm not gonna say that. That's what they want me to say. You can still slide in my DMs, but it's got to be freaky. No, I'm just playing. Look.
Let's keep it real professional. This what you gonna do.
Hit the email, bookings@85southshow.com.
That's how you make sure everything is handled right with no games.
Contact the email, man. Hey, ain't no more hear me on the side. I'm professional this year. You gotta talk to my people.
So one more time. For bookings, hit up bookings
at 85southshow.com.
And that way, you can get your event handled the right way. Because like I said, I'm not gonna hit you up. I'm not gonna respond. So look.
No funny business.
no funny business.
It's just strictly
Family business around here, man. We bring the funny. You just have your business straight. Let's go. Come on.
Yo, what's going on? It's your boy DC on Fly. In case you haven't heard, we at the 85 South Show have launched our own independent streaming service called Channel 85. And for our loyal supporters, we are currently offering 20% off for 6 months. Just use code 85 per center. Right, spread it out. Code 85 PERCENTER. Once you sign up, you'll get access to the podcast a whole day earlier than everyone else on YouTube. All of our new live shows, independent specials, new shows like 5 on it, 85, and even get your special offers and discounts for 85 South merchandise. And the shows, it's only $8.50 a month or $85 for the whole year. And you can find us online at channel85.com. Or on your iPhone, Apple TV, Amazon, Fire Stick, Roku, and even on Android. And remember, use code 85 per center for 20% off for a whole 6 months. That's Channel 85. Subscribe.